YouTube? This is your personal financial professor back with you again, and a very important topic to discuss today, early retirement. I'm just going to start off this video with a quote by one of the greats, Vince Lombardi, who said, "Perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence." And I thought that was very applicable to what we're going to be talking about today, because while this can seem overwhelming and this will take the span of many years, it's definitely a marathon, not a sprint. The reality is that even if we're not able to do this perfectly, even if we're not able to follow these rules perfectly, if we chase after that perfection, we're going to catch excellence and we're going to be still much better off had we never tried. So I want to just first touch on just a few quick basics. I'll make another video about compounded returns, but essentially on average over the last 40 or 50 years, a couple stats here, the stock market on the whole, if you're indexing like we talked about earlier, on the whole has gone up 4.5% year over year. So every year over the past 40 years, on average, you can expect your stocks, your portfolio to go up by 4.5% per year. That goes up to 9.25% when you include the dividends, when you include reinvesting dividends from the stocks that you invested. If you put reinvest those dividends back into your stocks, you can expect to gain, on average, over the last 40 years, gain 9.25% per year. And then this number here, 6.5% per year, is again over the last 40 years when you account for inflation. So inflation, the fact of the matter is the government keeps printing more money, and that's kind of what our economy is essentially based around, is a slight inflation is healthy. So when you take out inflation, the fact that, $100 today is worth a lot less than $100 50 years ago, when you take that out, you're still increasing in real value by about 6.5% per year, okay? So this is the premise that everything we're going to talk about in this video is based on, okay? So early retirement, what is early retirement? I mean, you think about people sitting on their own private island, multimillionaires. I'm going to tell you something that absolutely turned my world upside down when I first heard it, okay? Get ready for this. You do not have to be rich, wealthy, make six figures, or have a rich uncle to be able to retire early. Okay? You do not have to have those things, all right? You know what you do have to have? A willingness to work hard and save money. How do you retire early? It's about controlling your expenses. It certainly helps if you make over $100,000 a year, over $200,000 a year. That helps, but the reality is it comes down to controlling expenses. If you are able to limit your expenses and then limit your expenses in retirement, you're going to be able to stay retired for a very long time. So early retirement, or this concept called FIRE, which is financial independence, retire early. You may have heard that in the media recently. It's literally, not to be punny, but it's catching fire in the media here. Essentially, the concept is that you work really hard in the beginning of your career, you save a bunch of money, you save 25 times your yearly expenses. Why 25? It's based on a study called the Trinity Study, where they looked at how people retired early over the last I think it was over the last 50 or 60 years, and they used, I think, roughly a 30-year retirement, and found out how long money would last. It turns out that if you can save 25 times your yearly expenses, you will have enough to live on indefinitely, on average. Based on the market has performed over the past half century, if you save 25 times your current expenses, and the expenses you plan to have in retirement, which probably is even less than you have right now, you can retire. And another way to look at this is your target goal is to spend 0.04, which is 4% of your yearly, of your total portfolio, or your total stash of money, year after year. And the reason why you can spend 4% and not have your money pile decrease year over year is because of these gains. you're fully invested in the market. So say you saved up really hard and you saved up over 20 years and you're able to save $1 million, right? So you saved $1 million. Well, the 4% rule, which is the same as this 25% rule, they're the same thing, means that you then could live on $40,000 per year, which is 4% of 1 million. And then at the end of the year, you would expect that this money, because you invested $1 million in the stock market and index funds, you would expect to make that back and a little more on average based on how compounded returns work. So therefore, you're essentially what we call financially independent. So you no longer, if your expenses are $40,000 or less, you just made more money through the stock market than you spent in that year. Therefore, you don't need to work. You're retired. You can early retire and live off of that stash that you saved up over that first 10, 15, 20 years, however long it took you to save up that money in a career. And it works all the same way going up. So you say you want to live on $80,000 because you have some things you want to do. You want to take some cool vacations. You have grandkids you want to spoil. You have just kids you want to spoil. You want to live on $80,000 a year. Well, then you need to save up $2 million. Of course, 4% of $2 million is $80,000. So then you can safely assume you can spend $80,000 a year and still make it back with your stock market gains throughout that year. Amazing concept, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely incredible concept. It is so cool when you can justify with numbers a new lifestyle change, okay? The last thing I want to touch on with this is it turns out that there is a mathematical predictive model that you can compare your savings rate versus how many years until you're financially independent. Financial independent essentially means when you're when you have enough saved up so you can live off of your overall portfolio's stock market's earnings and not have to work. That's financial independent. Retire early is just when you make that choice, obviously, to step away from your day job, okay? So look at this. This is a mathematical model that's been proven. So 5%, if you're able to save only 5% of your income, you're going to be working 66 years, okay? A lot of us, we're planning on working 66 years until we watch this video today. 10%, 51 years. This is years until you're financially independent. Okay, if you can save 30%, by the way, this is after taxes have been taken out. Okay, this is your savings rate is considered. How do you calculate it? Well, it's essentially how much money, how much saved over total. Okay, so the savings rate, how much are you saving out of the total income that you are getting? And of course, we don't include taxes in this, okay? Because when you take this into your retirement, you're not really going to be, taxes are tougher to predict, and it's probably going to be lower. So this is after tax. How much are you saving of your overall total money that you're earning? Okay? So if you're able to save 30%, that's 28 years, okay? So think about this. If you're a 22-year-old kid right out of college, and you sit down with the numbers and like, hey, I just lived on rice and beans and ramen, and I paid like $15,000 in living expenses last year. That was my whole expense. If I can do that for the next, like even 10 years, and my salary out of school is $60,000, and I'm saving, so now I'm saving $45,000 a year, which is out of 60, it is, if you take after tax, whatever, it changes a little bit, but say it's roughly around 50%. Now all of a sudden, as a 22-year-old kid, you're looking at saving 50%. Of course, that's only going to grow as your salary increases, you get more experiences in your job and everything. Look at this, 50%, you can be done in 17 years. So 22 plus 17, you can be done before your age 40. You can retire before 40 when you're making $60,000 a year. You don't have to be a millionaire to do this. You just have to be cognizant of your expenses, controlling your expenses, not letting that lifestyle creep, not getting that better house, that better car, not taking those fancy vacations, not keeping up with the Joneses down the block. It's all about your savings rate, which is all about controlling your expenses when it comes to years to retirement. Okay? So that's it. It's really that simple, you guys. It's incredible concept, and if you truly grasp it, watch this video a couple times. It took me a while to grasp it, but when you truly grasp it, it'll change the way you think about work. Because now, when you show up to work every day, you're literally, just think about this. You show up to work, you're trading your time for labor. All right? Why would you want to retire early? Because your free time is worth more than going to work and getting paid by an employer. Your freedom is worth more than that. Okay? So the freedom to pursue your own interests and things that could make the world a better place, or opportunities that you wouldn't be able to have, and focus on relationships you wouldn't be able to have in the normal 9-to-5 day job. Okay? I mean, it's incredible. It's an incredible thing. So if you can work towards this, and even if you don't totally adopt this, even if you move your savings rate from, say, 5%, and now you watch this and you save like 15%, which is what Dave Ramsey recommends, you're now down to 43 years until you're financially independent. You just cut off like 23 years of working life, and now you can retire at age, 65, and you're going to have a great retirement, okay? So just to circle back to that quote that I started off with, if we can chase perfection, we'll catch excellence. And that really applies here, right? I mean, chasing, those $5 coffee purchases every day, that going out to eat 3 times a week, that $10 movie on the weekends. Chasing perfection brings excellence. So just think about that, next time you're at these things. Hey, if you can just cut out a few lifestyle interventions, get to a certain number that works for you and find good balance in your life, you're going to find that this is early retirement and financial independence and not having to be so worried and stressed about money is something that's going to be extremely attainable for you as you go forward in your life. So this is your personal financial professor. Happy to share this moment with you. Please like, subscribe, comment on the videos, and until next time, signing off.